Welcome back to video number 8 for our series of videos in February. Today we are going to cover pricing sheets, standard sheets. If you've been watching in order, you're going to notice that we jumped over the contract summary menu item. We're doing a little bit of refurbishing on that, so we're going to wait until we have the new layout there before we cover it. So this way we don't have to go back and do it again. So let's, as you can see again, we logged in and we landed on our product overview, prices involved tab of our product summary. And we're going to stay on Eurodollars today. Yes, remember, we select our product group over here and we get our list of products again, but we're going to stay on Eurodollars and take a look at the standard pricing sheets today. We are always going to land on the first expiration within the first group. Okay, in this case, I'm going to go to the second contract or the March contract. We should see a few more strikes. The way we have this defaulted right now is the number of strikes is being controlled by a strike mode. And our strike mode over here, this button, again, we see a button with text or an image with text next to it. Either on the image will be on the left or the right, but you can always click that. And this is going to control the amount of information you see on the pricing sheet. Now, you notice that this is set to Delta, and this is a selection that I made under the My Account Preferences. And if I go all the way down to the bottom, I have, I have Auto Strike as the default mode, but then I switched that contract to the Delta mode, and then it sticks. Okay, so if you want to see, let's go back and I'll show you what Auto Strike looks like. If I go to Auto Strike, if I click on that, I'm going to change the number of strikes just to, let's just say 10 up and down from the at the money. I always have to hit OK. So now I'm going to see 10 up and down. Okay. So strike mode is how you control what you see in a particular pricing sheet. Okay, so that's the first step in using some of the sections of the analysis toolbar, and we call this the analysis toolbar. We default this to open. You can close it by clicking on this little arrow. Anywhere you see this little arrow on a description bar or a title bar of that page, you can click on it to open or close. So in this case, it's defaulted open. We're going to leave it open. So let's just touch base with a couple interesting points here to reiterate some of the things that we might have learned before. Okay, here is our list of expirations. The Eurodollars is a little bit more complex than the other groups because there are so many different sections of the interest rate curve there, and we break those out accordingly because this is really how they're thought of: the whites, the reds, greens, blues, and then the short versions of these expirations. So these are shorter dated contracts on this group of futures that are associated with these option groupings. Okay, so we make our selection over here. You'll see that everything is in expiration order. So you'll see what futures contract this option contract is tied to. Okay, so you see the Feb and the March are tied to the March. You'll see how many days to expiration is and how much and when that expiration date is. So keep that in mind, and it should be easy enough to find anything that you're looking for. As you saw before on some of the other pages, I'm hovering over symbol. I hover over a price here. I can click on that. I'm going to get the expiration pop-up. I'm able to see all that other detailed information. In this case, we have a little bit different than the future symbol. We have the futures price. That will open up a futures price for you, futures price chart for you, and you could see, today, previous day, 1 week, and then historical going out to 12 months. Okay, so we've run across this before, but it's always good to reiterate that. And then let's just get started here. Okay, so we have our title bar, okay, or our page title bar, and then we have our analysis bar. This is what we're calling the analysis bar. So if you ever have a question, or if you're ever looking to make adjustments or changes on a particular page, you look to the analysis bar. And over down the side here, we have the different versions of the pricing sheets that are available. So these are different tabs. We have standard sheets. So we're going to concentrate on prices today within standard. And I'm just going to encourage people to take a look at these other tabs if we don't get to them. Or we'll come back to those in a later video to do a little bit more detailed view of what those tabs have for you. But I think we're going to find enough time within this particular within this particular tab, and most of what we're going to cover is going to follow suit in these other tabs as well. Okay, so analysis bar, then we have our information table here. So we have our volatility. Parity is how much the strike is away from the current futures price. Okay, delta is delta, as you know. Call price, strike, put price, the delta of the put. The straddle price is the call and the put price together, right? So this is pretty common way of looking at the market is seeing the straddle price. It gives you a combination call put. A lot of times people will use that to gauge what the value or what the volatility level, price level in the market is. And then the rest of the Greeks, gamma, vega, and theta. And then something special for the Eurodollar options, a daily basis point volatility and an annual basis point volatility. But given the model that we're using in the Eurodollars right now, the vol and the annual basis point vol are going to be the same because it's essentially the same model. Okay. If you want to learn about any of this information, if you hover over the title bar, you're going to see that you can click on these because it turns into a link. Okay, so if I click on that, I have a link, and here I go. I'm going to bring that into the frame here. So now this is going to show you all the information that is available. I'm going to scroll this down. So I clicked on the vol and I went to the model tab, and that model tab showed me what models we use within QuickStrike. Okay, now if I clicked on the Delta tab, it's going to pop over to this tab. If I click on the Gamma tab, it'll pop open to the Gamma tab. Now, what's interesting about this is we're going to take a little bit closer look at this. I'm going to move this over again. Okay, so if I want to learn how to use the delta values within this pricing sheet, I can click on this delta link, this column header, and it's going to open up this window. And you'll notice that it's opening up the at the money strike here. So this is a live representation of what these values are right now. So it's going to show you how to use this Greek with the actual values that are in the page. And if you change to any other expiration, you're going to see that same thing. So there always will be an at the money strike and the corresponding calculations below it. And it's going to tell you here what the math is, okay? In which you're going to see, in a lot of instances, you're going to see a lot of 100s here. And those are scale factors. So what we've done in many of the products is we scaled the prices and the Greeks up so they're a little bit more relevant, less decimal places, but typically we make an effort to quote them in the format that the market talks about them, okay? So this is and this pop-up has everything else in it as well that you would see in the quick education section for the most part. So if you want to learn how to do the math or how to use these Greeks, click on one of these links and it'll take you there. Also, you'll notice, again, like you've seen on some other pages, if you hover over a strike, click on that strike because it turns to a link and we have our strike detail again. So that hasn't gone away at all. And then next to each strike, you're going to see there's a little icon. This is the calculator icon. So if I click on that, you'll notice that I'm in the out of the money put, okay? So it populated this calculator with the put values. So it took the strike, the futures price, how many days to expiration, the current interest rate, and then it took the volatility for that strike, okay? And then the current put value, okay? So it's always going to default to the out of the money option because typically when you're looking at strikes that are below the at the money or above the at the money, you're looking at the out of the money option, okay? If I wanted to calculate the call value, very simply, I could click on that radio button and click calc price, and I'll get the call value right there, okay? And if I put the put back and I calc price, I'm going to get 117, which matches over here. I can click calc vol, and you'll see I'm going to match up for the most part. Probably have a little bit of a rounding issue with the days and stuff like that. But here it is, or with the volatility that's currently in there. So this is the calculator, and we defaulted to the model that's currently being used for that product. And you have the ability to change models in here if you like, but generally speaking, you're probably going to stick with the default model. Okay. So let's just look at something else. If I click at a out of the money on the call side, you'll see that it populated with 0.8 of a tick here, and it took the volatility as you see here. So nice, convenient calculator. This calculator is also available from an embedded standpoint over in the option calculator section, which we'll cover at some other time during this month. Okay, so right now we're going to stay in our standard pricing sheets. So we have our links that are in our column headers, we have our clickable strikes as we have our other clickable areas, and we have our calculator icon that's there. So now if we want to affect change on this page, we can simply, click on the arrows, and now this pricing sheet has been repriced with this new future price. I could do the same thing with the volatility, and this will go up in price with my new volatility. So if I make this a big number and I calc it, you're going to see a big jump in these numbers, okay? If I make changes and I want to revert back to where it was, I can click this little blue refresh arrow and it'll take me back to the starting point. You notice that it reset my strike mode as well here, back to the default strike mode. So I'm just going to fix that again. Okay, and there I am. So I can change the future up or down. I could change the vol, and I can also do days to expiration. So any of these you can also type in. You don't have to use the controls on the left or right. So if I want to drop this down to 20 days to expiration and I hit enter, it'll recalculate this. And you'll see how my pricing sheet shifted because I was doing a delta range. So let's go to a more static strike mode here. Okay, and here we are. So and now we're back. If I reset it, it's going to go to 15 strikes again, and we're back where we started from. Okay, so this pretty standard stuff, but really, the futures, as you know, in Quick Strike are delayed. We update the volatilities every half hour, but you can easily get to where the underlying is by manipulating the futures price here. Okay, there's another section. I'm going to jump over forwards for now. I'm going to move over to advanced, so you can switch the model that you want to use to price this sheet up. So if you're in the Eurodollars and you actually want to look at a Black-Scholes volatility, you can click on that and it'll reprice this according to the Black-Scholes volatility. And so in some instances that's going to be helpful. Black-Scholes doesn't handle strikes over 100, so that's why you're seeing all those zeros. And if I go back to where I was, okay, and hit OK, I'm going to get back to where I started here. All right, and also there's another way you can change the sheet. Right now we have a direction, volatility to price. We could also do a price to volatility. Let's see what that does. When I click on that, it changed this from a volatility input to an at the money input. So now this is the straddle price. So if you wanted to just do a straddle shift on this and say this jumped up to 9.5, now we have a straddle worth 9.5. It's going to tell you where your calls and your puts are. Okay, so there's some interesting ways to manipulate this, and pretty straightforward stuff as well. Finally, I'm going to do a quick look at this, but this will be more, I'll describe this a little bit better when we get over to the vol tools and we start talking about our vol term structure. But what I will say about this is that what you can do with the forward, so right now there's only one selection here because only February is in front of March. But what this forwards, with the click of this button will do is this will assume that February's volatility is accurate, and it will roll 4 days forward with February's volatility, wherever it may be, and tell you what March should be given volatility persists for this amount of time going forward until that contract expires. So it's gonna, when we click on that, we're gonna see, if the February volatility in the market exists for the next 4 days, March's volatility should be after 4 days about 30%. So let's see how much different that is from where we were before. See, it actually was, since Feb was a little bit higher, it actually brought the March contract down. So we'll talk more about rolling a volatility curve forward when we go into our vol term structure section, okay? So that's been a quick overview of the pricing sheet. The one other thing I do want to point out on here is this section. We call this the sidebar section. You could turn this on or off by clicking this button here. You'll see that little arrow that pushes that on or off to the side. You can also change what you're seeing in here. When you first register for Quick Strike, it's going to default to our Twitter feed. This is good. It's useful. Stuff's coming out all day long. It tells you when updates are done, when settlements are finished, when open interest is complete. You can always follow us and have Twitter open in another account just by clicking the follow button. But the other part that you should recognize is that you can click this button and show other things in this drop down. So one of the things we're working on making more prominent is this product status. So if you want to see when the last time volatility was updated, you can come in here and check it out. But you can also see another feed that we have in there for agricultural products. You can see futures prices. Okay, so we see the market's up today. You can also see straddle prices. So this is going to show you all the straddles for all of these products listed here. So it's a good way to get an idea where the different markets are trading. And this becomes especially useful when you are on March and you want to look at another contract. So I can click on February. Now I'm going to get information about February contract here, and I can get to their pricing sheet really easily. Okay. And then there's also, we'll talk about watches a little bit later on. That's another story, because you're going to build trades over here in the trade builder, which you'll also be able to manage from Manage Quick Strike, but then you can create watches, so you're able to keep an eye on things, and you could keep an eye on things over by clicking on this section here. And then finally, a little known piece of information here is my notes. So there's nothing here, but we have this little notepad and pencil. So if you're looking around and you think of something, you can say, I want to remember this. Okay, and I could say submit. So now my notes are going to show up over here. Okay, so you can keep track of some things in this. Wherever you see a notepad, it'll pop open. You could put it in there. The notes are visible right here, though, for the time being. And this is where you'd have to come to review them. And if I don't like them, I could delete it. Or if I want to edit it, I can just click on it and change this and say, 1, 2, 3 to add something else. Okay, and there it is. Or I can just get rid of it and say okay. And I typically go to either the Twitter feed or to the futures prices. So that's it for today. Thanks for being patient through this little longer version of a video. I think they're going to start to get a little bit longer because the pages are going to get a little bit more detailed. There's a lot more going on. That's why I say we're going to try to do the best we can with the most prominent tab, and then the rest I think we're going to leave for experimentation for the time being, but you should have enough. Most of these are going to be similar, just with different versions of prices. This is sort of an experimental page. These are comparison pages, and this is slides up and down. So if you're familiar with slides, it's just where they show a version of the pricing sheet and they move the futures up and down accordingly, or the volatility up and down. It's just a way to kind of do something that you would do in here with a little bit more structure. Okay. And finally, one last trick. If you ever want to see the entire listing within a particular group of expirations, I can come all the way down here and say, hey, show me everything, and it's going to give me a page that has all of the information for that section. And each of these cells, which are the values for the given expiration, or the given strike within the expiration, are clickable to bring up the strike detail. Okay, so that's it for today. Glad you're watching. If you have any questions, please, or comments, please shoot us an email at support@quickstrike.net. You can contact us very easily by going over to the support tab again. And we look forward to talking to you tomorrow. So have a good day, and thanks a lot.